Okay guys, so we are going to be talking about lists today. So the first big idea is to actually define what a list is. So a list is a collection of items in a particular order, okay? It contains more than one item, so it's a good idea to name it with a pluralization, so using an S at the end of your name here so that indicates there's multiple things in it. We use square brackets, so a new type of bracket for you guys to figure out. We use a square bracket to indicate a list, and each item is separated by a comma. So let's go over what something looks like. So this is a list here. I say bikes equals, and I put a bunch of bike names in the list separated by commas. So I put a string here with a comma, a string with a comma, a string with a comma, okay? So a list, it just looks like, it's like a variable, but with multiple items in the variable. Okay, and then when I ask it to print out the list, it's actually going to print out the whole thing. So let's try this a little bit, okay? Let's go to a code along here. So I'm going to make a list made of strings. Let's say groceries. I'm going to be equal to bread, eggs, milk, and we'll say apples, okay? So here I have a list of strings, and I could say print groceries, and when I say print groceries, when it runs, it's actually going to give me, whoops, I put this comma inside here. So you notice that what it's doing is it's recognizing this as just one item. It's not recognizing it as two. That's because I didn't put the comma outside of the double quote. So here I'll put the comma there, and then you'll see that it recognizes it as having 4 items. Okay. I could also have a list that's made of numbers. So I could say my grades. Let's say I have grades of 90.1, and then 78.5, 80.3, 56.9, or 0.8 rather, and then let's say I have 99.7. So let's say that those are my grades. So if I said print my underscore grades, it's going to print out that whole list there. Finally, I could have a list, let me call it values of Boolean, so I could just say true, false, let's give it another false. So these are just lists with Booleans in it. I just want to show you that each data type could be put into a list, okay? Okay, the next idea is that of index values. So each item in a list can be accessed using its position. So the first position, however, starts counting at 0. So the computer weirdly starts counting at 0 and not 1. So this eggs right here in this list has an index value of 0. Apples has an index value of 1, and so on. So if I wanted to just get one of the items in that list, I could say groceries. I could use a square bracket and then say 0. And what's going to happen there is eggs is just going to print out. So let's try this real quick. So if I said print, if I didn't say, let me copy this and paste it down here. If I said groceries, index value 0, it's going to print bread in my situation here, okay? So let me comment this out real quick so that you can see what's being printed out here. So just bread is printed out. If I said groceries, let me copy and paste this here. If I said groceries 1, then it would be bread and eggs, right? Because it's, bread printed out first and then eggs printed out. It's printed out second. So that's the next thing to think about, is that each item in the list has a position in it. Okay? Now I want you to think about what this does right here. So I'm asking for the upper method to be called on the item in the list of groceries with an index value of 0. Okay, so let's try that out here. So let's go here and let's see. So if I went and modified this and said upper, what it will do is it will print bread out in uppercase. Okay, so I can call the upper or title or lower method on these, and it will just format it so as it prints out, it will become upper, lower, or title case. Okay, now the next big idea is that you can actually get a range of index values. A range is like it's not just one, but it's multiple values here. So here, if I said print groceries 0 to 3, I want you to think about what that might do. Okay, so let's just modify our code back here. So I'll take this code out and let's go. So actually, let's keep the upper method on it. But if I say 0 to 3 and I print it out, what it does, oh, it doesn't like that upper method on multiple. So let's try it like this. Okay, so what it does is that it actually prints out a number of items in this list. And I want you to see, so it goes from the index value of 0, index value of 1, and index value of 2. It does not include the item at index value 3 here. So does not include, I'm going to write a little comment here, value at index 3. So here, it only goes, so if you say a range, you say 0, and it's going to go up to index value of 2, but it's not going to include 3. So I can get a range of values this way. If I wanted to include 3, I could just go up to 4 like that, and then it will print out all of the values here. So if I said from 0 to 1, it's actually only going to print out bread, because it's going to start at index value of 0 and stop before it gets to 1. It like slices it before it gets to this last index value. So the first one is included, the last one is not included when it prints out. Okay, and finally, you can store, if I said my grades is this long list of, or this list of 4 items, I can store a single value in a separate variable here. So let me explain that real quick. Okay, so if I said my grades, let's say I want to make another variable called grade, just a single grade, and that's going to be equal to the item in my grades that's stored in the index value of 2. Okay, so let's have it print out grades instead of the list grade. So notice I made this single, I said my grade, and this one is pluralized, I said S at the end to indicate that there's multiple items in there. So when I hit run, it will tell me, my grades here. Okay, so it's saying that item that's stored at index value of 2 is 80.3. That's because this is 0, 1, and 2. All right. Now, there's a number of list methods that I'm going to show you, and I'm just going to show you in Replit right here. So append, pop, reverse, and sort. So the append method takes the list and it adds an item to the list. So if I say that I want to add something to groceries, the way I could do it is I could say the list name first, and then I can say dot append, and I can only add one item at a time. So let's say that I want to add cheese to that. So I run it, and it doesn't give me anything back. And you know what? Let me comment these out so we don't see them. So if I run it, nothing prints out. It's appended this, but it hasn't shown it to me. So at this point, if I say print groceries here, it's going to show me the grocery list. So it's what it was before, but here it's added cheese to that list. Okay, so if I ask it, let's say I copy this, oops, I paste it down here and I say add butter, okay? And then I ask it to print out, you'll notice the new list has cheese and butter in it. Okay, reverse and sort are two ways to organize this list. So I'm going to take this code and comment it out so that it's not popping those items out. So if I said groceries dot reverse, open and close parentheses, and then I ask it to print groceries, let's notice what happens here. Okay, so this is the original one right here, and the new one has the exact opposite, so it's in the opposite order. It just reverses the order right there. Okay, so that's what reverse does. Notice it doesn't take anything inside the method name, unlike append where it takes an item in there. It takes nothing inside that method, so you just say open and close parentheses. And sort is very similar. If I said groceries dot sort, open and close parentheses, and then I said print groceries, then what it does is, okay, let me just comment this part out. What it does is it takes the original one and it alphabetizes it. So A comes before B. So all of these things are in alphabetical order. So those are just some methods that you can run on the list. So once you create the list, you can organize them by reversing or sorting them. You can take away items by popping them out, or you can add items by appending them. And that's it.